Some might complain that Jyn Erso didn't say "I rebel" in Star Wars Rogue One, but Nat Turner does it in this one. The Birth of a Nation is directed and written by Nate Parker, stars Nate Parker, alongside Asia Naomi King, Jackie Earle Haley, and Armie Hammer, among many others. And this tells the story of a man who's a preacher and a slave at the same time. However, after witnessing some events, after some history unfolds, he starts a revolt with fellow slaves. They rise up and they try to fight the oppression. If you guys don't know this, because I'm not sure we've had any movie like this ever since I started up my channel, I'm not a person who deals very well with racism. Where and when I was born was never something that gave me access to racism, to that very concept. I only got that through history class and through movies. And it's just something that I don't understand. My mind can't process these types of things. Sometimes these movies can be tough for me, just because I could very well be ignorant and just say, oh, what type of character would do this? No one would ever do that, if I was talking about the white people in these movies. But yeah, this kind of shit happened, unfortunately. Nate Parker gives one phenomenal performance in this movie. Very subdued, a very tragic performance, and a very traumatized one. You follow this character and you get, through the character and through the performance, how tortured this man's soul is. There are many times where you see this man witnessing some tough things and he can't do anything. And sometimes he's smart enough to try to do things his way by trying to goad other characters into doing it for themselves. Throughout this movie, he's consistently impactful in his performance. In moments he has to emote silently, in moments where he has to react, in moments where he has to cry, in moments where he just has to shout out to the heavens as he's preaching to the other slaves, and it touches you, because you get it through this man's performance and through the character. The problem is what surrounds it, because this movie doesn't really dwell on much. The problem with this movie is what usually is good about these movies, that you're witnessing so many horrible things, and as much as they are horrible and you wanted to divert your looks from it, as a movie you want it to stay there for you as an audience to feel, and keep on feeling and seeing how horrible this is, and get it from the story, from the characters, from the camera angles, from everything. And the way this script is constructed, the movie flows by certain happenings, and it feels like it's just setting you in for the final 20 minutes of the movie. Also, the problem with The Birth of a Nation regarding its story structure and the script is that they make you feel like this is going to mean something, and I'm not saying it doesn't. What I mean is, Nat Turner's story, unfortunately, did not make much of a difference, and we don't know this, and the people behind this movie don't know this, because there are accounts of this man's history, there are accounts of the rebellion he orchestrated, but there's nothing in the history books. And you come to the end of this movie and you realize why that is, but still you are only taking everything that is in this movie from accounts of what some people say or what this guy heard. I mean, not heard, because I don't think anybody is alive today that was there back then, but you get what I mean, and this movie seems to just show you happenings, and only the last 20 minutes of the movie matter. And I think this movie could have very well played with that, and would have been a very much more impactful piece. This movie should have played like a Greek tragedy in every single way. In the script, in the story structure, in the narrative, in the dialogue. Everything this movie had to do was play itself as a tragedy. I'm going to give you an example, and this is one of my earliest ones when I realized this by knowing archetypes and story structures. Les Miserables. As soon as this movie started, I knew exactly what Javert's fate would be. It's not because it's predictable, it's not because it's badly written. The thing is, the movie has its structure, and this movie moves like a Greek tragedy, and you exactly know what types of characters these are. And this is not a bad thing. I mean this in the most positive way possible. Not only that, but the movie also follows a lot of cliches. There are lots of scenes that you are witnessing and you're like, I know what the scene is. I've seen it before. Another scene comes on and you're like, okay, this makes sense following that scene that I've seen previously. Still a cliche. And it's not like they do anything new with it. The cinematography is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the way this movie looks. And there are moments that are tough to watch. But again, the shining spots of this movie are moments. Moments of brilliance that Nate Parker was able to put on camera, able to put on its script. But as a whole cohesive narrative structure, the bad unfortunately outweighs the good. There are lots of characters who could have done a little more exploration and unfortunately don't get it, like Jackie Earle Haley. This guy, you get how detestable he is right from the first scene of the movie, and I was hoping to see him throughout and hating this son of a bitch. Unfortunately, you don't get that. Also, Armie Hammer. He's this boy who grew up next to Nat Turner. He's the boy who was from the house where Nat Turner belonged to. And they grow up, you see that they are still together, living, working together as adults. And Armie Hammer's character has a lot of character flaws, and I don't mean this in a good way. Armie Hammer's character is just this inconsistent guy who you either like in one scene and you're questioning yourself, wait a minute, in the next. Because on some scenes you see that he is civilized and even respectful of his slaves. And then come other scenes that he completely shifts tones, but you don't get anything in between to connect these dots. You get this character acting one way and then acting another way past some time. But you don't get anything between that to explain why he changes behavior. You understand that through bits of dialogues, but you would have liked this movie to show you. At the end of the day, this is a very important story. One that you don't really know, but you get accounts of, and you get that through this movie. It's a movie that sometimes really feel like it's flowing by, and you don't really get too much attached to the characters. You feel for this inevitably because these, unfortunately, were real things. Slavery, unfortunately, was a thing in our world. That is a powerful performance from Nate Parker that, in my opinion, deserves a nomination at the Academy Awards. There is beautiful cinematography, beautiful and also horrible imagery, but unfortunately, the movie as a whole doesn't hold a candle to the brilliant moments, sparring moments that you find in between these 2 hours of film. Because of that, I will say that The Birth of a Nation gets a C+. What did you think of The Birth of a Nation, my beautiful geekies? Have you seen it? Have you not? Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And also, don't forget, there's a Voyager Q&A happening on the Facebook page. Leave your questions on the post that I have on the page. And on Friday, I'll make a video for you if there are enough questions. Like this review if you did, and share with your friends. And of course, subscribe if you haven't to join the beautiful geeky community where we can be geeky united. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. I love you all. Stay beautiful. Stay geeky. Shit!